Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning in central Nebraska, where the Adams County Sheriff's Department is warning residents of a scam with a person claiming to work in their office. The Sheriff's Department said they've been receiving reports that someone's telling callers they have a warrant for their arrest and they need to send money to avoid going into custody. Sheriff's officials stress they'll never request payment over the phone, so it's important to remember to avoid giving out any personal information. If you're scammed or defrauded out of money, you're asked to contact your local law enforcement and report the loss. Turning to politics, a Republican likely to challenge fellow Republican Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert in next year's city election is upping the stakes. Joe Jordan has more on the push for a vote of the people on one of the city's testiest issues.
Going into next year's mayor's race, the controversial and at least $300 million downtown Omaha streetcar is going the extra mile. Politically, it's managing to bring longtime Democrat Douglas County Treasurer John Ewing, who is running for mayor,
in my time as a member,
and newbie Republican State Senator Mike McDonald, who is likely to run, both insisting Omaha voters should be voting up or down on the streetcar. As News Channel Nebraska first reported in a letter to Omaha Mayor Gene Stothert and the City Council, McDonald today calling for the city to put the issue on the upcoming November ballot. While he doesn't say if he's for it or against it, McDonald does say the streetcar is either a tool for the future growth of the city, as proponents suggest, or a financial boondoggle, as opponents claim. As she runs for an unprecedented fourth term, that vote of the people is over and over again shot down by Republican Mayor Gene Stothert. This was Stothert just last month.
A vote of the people is not necessary for something like the streetcar because the people, the taxpayers, are not paying for it.
Even if it's a high price tag.
Even if it's a high price tag.
It's too expensive.
Ewing calling the streetcar a great opportunity for economic development, but says it will cost upwards of $400 million, not $300 million, and all without the taxpayers' okay.
We should not have done it without a vote of the people when it's that expensive.
McDonald agreeing, noting the size and scope of the project.
We don't have to go to a vote of the people for everything. That's why they elect us. 1
year ago, a poll said 68% of Omaha voters oppose the streetcar, with 19% for it and 13% unsure. According to the mayor, the poll is dead wrong. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
State Attorney General Mike Hilgers is leading a 23-state coalition opposing the Biden administration's new high-efficiency standards for stoves and ovens. Hilgers claims the rule will increase the costs of kitchen appliances nationwide. Last month, Hilgers joined 17 other states in a comment letter opposing other new energy conservation standards for appliances, including refrigerators and freezers. He offered a similar criticism of those standards, saying the new rules would increase cost. In southeast Nebraska, an airport hoping for Federal Aviation Administration grant approval this year to help finance a significant safety upgrade. Doug Kennedy has more.
The Beatrice City Council and Airport Advisory Board have approved a bid submitted by Votes Parga Construction of Mound Ridge, Kansas, to reconfigure a taxiway and apron and adjust the location of the airport's fueling station at a cost of $5.66 million. Two bids were submitted. The engineering estimate was $6.25 million. Airport manager Dennis Schmidt said the project has been on the drawing board for several years.
If we do get the funding, replacing the ramp out here at the airport, we also have a fuel island, which they'd be removing the underground storage tanks for that. We'd get an above ground storage tank for 100 low lead aviation fuel. And then there's also a connector a little further down the parallel taxiway that would allow people to turn off onto the taxiway from the runway to come back to the main ramp. And we also would lose the direct access from the ramp to the runway. And that's kind of been an FAA thing where the regulations require that you make some turns before you go the runway. They don't want a direct shot. And the way it currently is we have a straight shot out to the runway from the ramp.
Schmidt said a decision on the federal grant should be known before the fall. There is a holding period of 60 to 90 days following bid approval before the grant decision is announced. The current airport fuel island would be moved to the south edge of the apron area.
And the apron's actually going to get pushed out a little bit further, and it'll be a little bit bigger. You get rid of that congestion with the island out in the middle, so it'll free up some space.
In recent weeks, several formalized leases for hangar space at Beatrice Municipal have been approved by the City Council. 5 more were approved Monday night. Additional hangar space is another project that's been under study. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
A Northeast Nebraska Independence Day tradition is looking to its host city for financial support. Andrew Pfeiffer has more.
Well, it's officially that time of year, and you can hear chirps about the Big Bang Boom all across Northeast Nebraska. In a matter of weeks, Skyview Park here will be filled with thousands of people, and to keep things only growing bigger and better, the committee is in search for funding.
It's almost that time of year again. The Big Bang Boom. In order to get bigger and better, the committee is looking for funding.
I need financial help. If I had to answer that, guys, I would look for $25,000.
The Norfolk Spectacle brings in an average of $1.5 million in economic impact annually for the city of Norfolk.
You know, this event started out with a $1,500 budget, and we do more than that per minute. We try and raise that bar every year, and the only way to do that is literally with some funds.
Outside dollars coming into our community helps offset the costs at a local level.
However, organizers say the costs are becoming a significant hurdle. Big Bang Boom President Don Wisniewski reports seeing a 30 to 34% increase in firework costs.
It's a very tight budget every year. Are we going to get enough to pay for this year's show again?
Wisniewski voiced the concerns out to the Norfolk City Council.
I certainly don't think you're out of bounds in making such a request. I'm glad you put a number to it because that's a starting place.
Putting a show on for 30,000 people, you can't feel like a rock star when you hit that go button.
Boomfest will kick things off on Friday, June 28th with the notorious Firework show on Saturday, June 29th, the week before the 4th of July. Reporting in Norfolk, Andrew Pfeiffer, News Channel Nebraska.
The American Heart Association says about 61% of U.S. adults will have cardiovascular disease in the next 2 decades. The group released research Tuesday finding 45 million adults will have some form of the disease or a stroke by 2050. That's up from 28 million in 2020. Researchers say a big driver of the trend, the growing number of people likely to develop high blood pressure, which puts them more at risk for a heart attack or stroke. An aging population also a factor. Heart disease already responsible for more than 800,000 deaths each year, making it the leading killer of Americans. Well, the Nebraska Shrine Bowl game was played on Saturday with no major injuries, and one of the men to thank for that is someone with a deep personal connection to the game's cause. Michael Shively has more.
I'll go check on our hamstrings.
Dave Regier cherishes his annual trip to volunteer in his home state.
Coming back to Nebraska, the good life. Doesn't get any better, let me tell you, doesn't get any better than here.
The Hampton native now lives in Texas, but has donated his time and expertise as an athletic trainer for 6 years at the Nebraska Shrine Bowl.
Taking care of the roots, taking care of the good kids of Nebraska.
It's more than returning to the Cornhusker State that leads him to spend a week working the All-Star football game. He's giving back to the organization that gave him his mobility.
If it wasn't for the Shrine organization, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd have been a slug on the couch on disability, not working.
Regier was born with fibular hemimelia, meaning he didn't have a calf muscle or a fibular bone in his left leg. When he was 11 years old, doctors at Shriners Children's in Minneapolis amputated his leg and outfitted him with a prosthetic.
With that, they gave me the ability to have a 45-year unbelievable career.
His career started as a student trainer with the Nebraska football team. He then worked as head athletic trainer at Winona State and assistant trainer at TCU before spending the bulk of his career in physical therapy and rehab clinics.
See that one, you get that one straight, that one off. not quite.
South Team head coach Ryan Gatula is happy Regier chooses to spend some of his retirement back in Nebraska.
You're going to be all right.
Dave has done a great job of getting these guys, ready for the end of the week here and ready to play a great game, and to donate his time to do that, that's pretty special.
Beyond his home state, this was Regier's 19th year volunteering as director of sports medicine at the Collegiate East-West Shrine Bowl game. He says giving back is the greatest thing a person can do.
If it's just volunteering one day, 1 month, whatever it is, it just makes you feel so good.
In Kearney, Michael Shively, News Channel, Nebraska.
And finally, if you're cruising down the highway this week in north central Nebraska, you might have to slow down for a unique sight, a convoy of vintage tractors chugging along as part of a relay across Nebraska. Casey Wannenberg has details about the event where old school machines meet modern day fundraising.
Even in rural Nebraska, this isn't something you see every day. A parade of vintage tractors rumbling across town.
This is a 4020 that I purchased.
Gail Noble is one of more than 24 people taking part in Tractor Relay across Nebraska.
706,
which started Saturday in Valentine and ends Thursday in O'Neill.
I got my dad's tractor when he passed away, and that's basically what started it then.
Noble now has a couple hundred tractors.
I got a couple, 3 sheds full of them.
Ranging from John Deere to Minneapolis to Ellis.
It's addiction, just like people like cars, and this group here likes tractors.
After Valentine, the relay will head to Ainsworth and then Atkinson.
This started in 2012, kind of like a Pony Express Oregon Trail type thing.
The old school event also raises new money for veterans. Donations go to Operation Comfort Warrior and Nebraska Gift for Yanks. In addition to driving across north central Nebraska, the tractors also make stops at veterans clubs, businesses, and assisted living facilities.
Usually the people love seeing the tractors, love talking about, like especially at the assisted living homes and that type of thing. Those people remember growing up on the farm with the red tractors or the green tractors or whatever.
Well, I met a lady over here from the home here, and the first thing she said, I drove them tractors, some of them tractors, so it impressed her.
A good cause spreading good spirits all across north central Nebraska. In Valentine, Casey Wannenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com. Click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X. Like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.